Future. Is our ecological future most likely one of looming crisis or of possibility for positive change? What sort of world awaits us? The Ecotypes Future Axis addresses our underlying sense of hopelessness versus hope, of apocalyptic versus optimistic views as we face our collective future on this planet. This relates to the Ecotypes theme of small versus big action. There's a spectrum of thought on the future axis. To the left is the possibility pole, and to the right is the crisis pole. Let's look at either end of the spectrum. I'm definitely an optimist about possibilities for people to solve environmental problems and avert disaster in the future. Well, I believe that future ecological disaster is almost a certainty at this point, no matter what people try to do. Now, let's listen to some student anecdotes relating to the future axis.
I think that regardless of whether crisis or possibility is more likely, I feel that essentially it's better to plan for crisis than for possibility. I think with the sort of possibility viewpoint, I do feel that there is this chance of possibility, but at the same time, I worry that if we focus too much on possibility, we'll be too late to we'll eventually sort of move over into crisis territory, and by the time we do that, it'll have been too late to prepare for it. I'm not really that knowledgeable about the whether like which is more likely, but I feel that regardless of the likelihood, crisis is something that we should sort of orient ourselves towards more. People definitely have a greater incentive to do something if they feel that they're threatened in some way. If they feel that there's only they feel that someone else can fix it for them, I feel that there's less, a much smaller chance that they'll end up doing anything.
I think this axis is the one that's hardest for me in taking the ecotype survey and just like thinking about um, because one, I think because I want to be hopeful, and I also believe that even if the evidence sort of points to inevitable crisis, it serves people and the world better to be hopeful in the face of that. Because I do think if you just give up hope and accept or believe in an inevitable crisis, then that's more likely to happen. On the other hand, I feel like when confronted with the evidence that's presented to me, it's hard not to think that there will be like ecological collapse and all of the things that we're worried about. Yeah, this one is definitely hard because as a bio major and an ENVS minor, I would love to just like be fascinated by plants and not be faced with the prospect of like disaster. Yeah, yeah, it's hard because I feel so fascinated by biology, and yet I also, because of this sort of like looming disaster or this current disaster, I feel like there's this pressure to like do something and to act on it and to not just like look at the flowers because they're so cool and their biology is just like fascinating, but like look at the flowers for how they might like help us save humanity. Um, which is like really intense to say and really intense to think about. But it is what I think about. It's what makes this axis really hard to think about.
When I think of the future as it relates to climate change, I feel like part of me wants to say, like, it'll all be okay. Like, it'll all work out in the end. The problem with that is that even if it does, like, work out in the end, I might not be around to see that end because it's such a large scale issue that we're talking about. I am inherently optimistic. I tend to steer away from like fear oriented decisions. So knowing that it will get really bad, like we know it will get bad before it gets better, is upsetting. But I also want to focus on the it could get better, and sometimes it does need to get bad before it gets better. I understand why I was in the middle. let's be honest, of the crisis possibility hotline, because I am very much in the middle. I see it as kind of a thing where I'm afraid of the future, but I don't want to focus on the fear because that is not the way anything gets done. And so logically, I know that there's crisis coming and problems coming, but that has never got, like, fear is a limited motivator, I think, in long-term projects like helping with climate change and climate crises.
And I used to be very scared of the future because I didn't really know what it was going to look like. And I also didn't really know, like, what the solutions that were in place. Like, I didn't hear anything about that. But then after I took the environmental studies class, I think there was a lot of passionate people about many different types of problems, and even myself. So I don't know, I guess just seeing how many people actually care about the world, I don't know, it makes me feel much better, and it makes me feel like crisis is not inevitable. And even though there is crisis, I feel like there's always a solution. And I don't know, I always see like people care a lot. I've been seeing people just care more about like what they're doing, how their actions affect the planet. And just the little things make me really feel better about like avoiding further crisis in the future. I'm still scared. I'm not saying like we're not in a very like terrible situation right now, but I do feel like I don't know, there is a possibility that people I feel like there's always gonna be somebody who's gonna care, like I don't know, because I feel like you care and I care. So I don't know. I just feel like there's the possibility that there's more other people that care.
So the future axis is definitely one that I feel a little torn about. Uh, Definitely in intro to environmental studies, it was really interesting to reflect more on the opportunities for the future, and that definitely helped me feel a bit more hopeful, seeing that positive perspective for the future was something that really existed in studies, because that's so different from the dominant discourse, I would say. But at the same time, I definitely do hold on to some of that and have some of that climate anxiety, I guess. I would imagine a positive future, and I think there are certain ways that we can achieve that. But at the same time, this is a pretty significant issue, and we do need to make some progress.
Where do your opinions lie on the future axis? Do you lean more towards a crisis or possibility mindset when approaching environmental problems? You can find out by taking the Ecotypes survey at ecotypes.us. It only takes a few minutes and will immediately give you comprehensive results about you. If you want to dive even deeper into Ecotypes, the website has more information, and there's even a book coming soon. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you gained something valuable from it. This Ecotypes video series is all unfunded work, so if you would like to support us and know of any further opportunities, please get in touch and engage with this video by liking, commenting, and subscribing. It really helps us out. So thank you so much, and stay curious!